Boomer TV, welcome to Feisty Friday at 5 with Greta B. This is Andy in the studio. Last week, Greta B blew the lid off birthday trauma. You know what it does to us when we turn 30, 40, 50 and beyond. Well, this week she turns to what has become a national pastime for many, online dating. Greta B will, as usual, throw people under the bus as she reveals to us some of the most egregious and ubiquitous lies and misrepresentations that pervade online dates. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Now, Greta B.
Yeah. And I like that, egregious and ubiquitous. We're such a highbrow show, Andy. I mean, me with my incredible science and the big words. Wow, this is
All
for
because of
people who are,
you. All because of
it's
you.
just, we're so tuned up. We're brainiacs.
Well, I don't
Ah,
know
so
about
fun.
me, but maybe you. But we're
Oh,
getting
man.
there anyway. We're getting there.
And I want to remind people to please, on all the places where they can, which I guess on Facebook, on the Bloomer Boomer page, on the website, bloomerboomer.com, to like the show. And if you go to gretablackburn.com and go, hey, I liked the show, because I'm going to go forensic here. I'm going to double check to make sure nobody's like faking their way through it. I am still sending out my pre-holiday Get in Shape for the Holidays, my audio tape that will just supercharge people. Don't forget, my thing is fitness. I am the fitness diva. I invented fitness boot camps. If you want to be one of those people that heading into the new year have lost weight rather than gained as we head into this holiday coming up, please get my free audio file. It will kick butt. It will take care of business. It will do all kinds of healthy things for you, including make your waist smaller, your muscles bigger, etc., in record small time. That's not the correct terminology, but you know what I mean. You're not going to spend your day, you're not going to be a gym rat. You're not going to spend your day in the gym. You're going to work out for under 20 minutes 3 times a week and get more results than those people on the treadmill for 3 hours straight. I want to go up to them and say, I've seen you at this gym when we had gyms for 5 years and you're working out all the time and you haven't changed. Do yourself a favor, go have an ice cream cone, because what you're doing isn't working. You might as well have the satisfaction and the stress relief of an ice cream cone. That's my rant for now, because I got more rants. So we're going to talk. And, I was thinking about online dating. Oh, my God. Oh, okay. This is a two-part show. And the second part of this will be when we come back on the air after Thanksgiving. And good luck, everybody, with this whole Thanksgiving thing. We'll talk about that after the fact. We know going into it, I've threatened for years to write a movie script called Thanksgiving Dinner, Hide the Knives, about family dinners. Although I guess they'll be downsized. I don't know. I have a friend who said, you know what, I think you can have 30 people at a funeral or something. She said, I'm going to call it a funeral for the turkey and I'm going to have 30 people over. I'm just saying there's workarounds for everything, but be safe. I don't want to get a bunch of mail. Oh, you don't care. Yes, I care. Oh, what happened to his senses of humor? Anyway, online dating. Okay, it is. And for those of you who are watching who are in a wonderful, blissful, amazing long-term relationship, whatever. No, I'm happy for you. It's good. You will watch what I'm about to say and listen to what I'm about to say so that you're even more grateful for your partner, because it is a nightmare out there. And I have gone really forensic on what is going on. Everyone I know is doing it. People have met, they've married, they've broken up, they've had stalkers, they've had whatever. I am going to give you the skinny overview. And again, we're always talking about the boomer vantage point. We've lived a long time, but thank you very much. And it gives us a little saggier skin, some wrinkles, but we have wisdom, we have knowledge, we have the ability to make more informed decisions. We have a vantage point. We're up on the mountain of wisdom looking down. We can do things with elegance and ease and graciousness. So I'm going to help guide us through this thing because it's a mess. And I'm talking. So this version of the show, this segment, and again, the next one will be in a couple weeks. This is about just sort of the global, sort of general categories of what's going on out there. And then we'll get forensic in the next one with really specific horror stories, and they're bad. Woo, really bad. So I thought of calling this, if I had to give a name to this week's show, being the author and writer that I am, as well as a scientist and a fitness expert, I would call this maybe online dating, missed opportunities, or just a bunch of misrepresentations and misspelled words. And I'm going to tell you what I mean. Let's start with this broad category called misrepresentations. And those of you who have done online dating know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those people that put up pictures of themselves that are from high school, from 20 years ago, from 2 summers ago, before it all went to hell in a handbasket. They don't look like their pictures. And when people have met some of these really over the top examples, it can go all the way from embarrassing to just plain horrible. I'll tell you one very specific story. This is a friend of mine. This was a couple of years ago. This gentleman lives in California, and he had made a date to meet this lovely lady. It was at a place that doesn't exist anymore called Solly's Deli in Sherman Oaks, California. So they had made a time, they'd set a time. He knew what she looked like from her photos, maybe. She knew what he looked like. So he went to Solly's at the appointed time. And they were going to meet at the, Solly's had a front deli area, and then they had the restaurant. So they were going to meet in the deli takeout area and then go into the dining room. So he was there for about 20 minutes, and he's thinking, wow, she's really late. There were a few people there. Alternately, more or less, but a number of people at any given time. None of them looked like the picture in that photo he'd seen, in the photos he'd seen. So at the about half hour mark, he was really thinking he'd just been stood up. At that time, a lady who he'd been seeing, who was much older and much, what is the delicate term here? I don't want to shame somebody, but the lady was like very much a chunky Zoftic woman, and her description in her profile said thin, and his preference clearly stated, this guy's a freak for like skinny. I like very thin women. The agreement was that she was that. Well, this was a chunky woman that didn't look anything like the picture. And she finally came over and said, oh, are you Michael? And he was like, yes, I am. And she said, I'm whatever her name was. Shall we, I'm sorry, I wasn't sure, and whatever. And for whatever reason, she hadn't gone up to him sooner. She said, shall we go in to eat? Hang on, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, into my elbow, as we all should. And he said, this is really not fair of you. This is just, you don't look like your picture. And she said, well, I'm going to get back in shape, and I was in shape, and I'll be in shape. And he said, but I don't want to be mean, but this isn't fair. We're not a match. We're not going to be a match. You're not my type. You're a lovely woman, I'm sure, but you just really misrepresented yourself. So I've heard this story over and over from men and from women. So that's the misrepresentations, just the old photos that don't look like you. Don't do that. If you're online dating, like, why would you do that anyway? It's only leaves you open for embarrassment and whatever. I mean, I know why you do. You want people to respond, but I don't know what to say. That's common. And if you have done any online dating, you know what I'm talking about. That's common. Misrepresentations. The other sort of general category, and again, I'm going to get very specific next show, embarrassingly so. Hopefully not too embarrassing. I call it premature sexualization of the soon-to-be relationship. In other words, people are texting, maybe a couple sentences here and there, and the next thing you know, the man or the woman goes to that place, like, let's get it on, let's hook up, whatever. So a girlfriend of mine was telling me, I said, what was your worst example of that? And she said, well, it was a guy who basically, after we just said hello online, started telling me what he wanted to do to me sexually. And she said, I thought I came up with a really good way to just end that and turn him completely off. And she wrote back to him, I'm sorry, I'm not the girl for you. I don't like sex. I never have. It's just not my thing. And I said, oh, well, that put an end to that, right? She said, no, actually, he got really curious. He was like, well, tell me why. Well, why don't you like it? And when did you start? So anyway, out of that, and that's something that happens a lot, the premature sexualization, unless you're on, I guess, Tinder, that's what their whole deal is. I don't know. They became friends. So that had kind of a, we'll call it a happy ending, not the happy ending he wanted, but the happy ending that he got. So there's that. There's the misrepresentations about age, size, large or small, whichever degree you want to go. And then there's the premature sexualization. And again, if that's your thing, if you're a Tinder person or you're a person who goes to these, what is it? There's these parties where you go and, swinger or whatever, there are people into that stuff. That's fine. No harm, no foul. Not my thing. Not a lot of people sing, but if that's your thing, then go for it. I guess you throw it out there enough, you get a response. But most people I think they're kind of normal. Like me, I consider myself normal. You may disagree with me. Then there is the telltale words. Okay. And I was talking to another friend of mine who actually is hired by some of these online dating sites to root out, scoop out the bad guys, the fake guys, the imposters, the guys in Nigeria trying to get money, the women who are just like, trying to get money for their so-called sick kids, whatever it is. So they know what to look for. And I said, tell me this, there's a common word. And I think that this is always the telltale sign of a phony profile. The word dear. How are you, dear? It's so good to meet you, dear. Who do you know other than Aunt Tilly back in 1956 who uses the word dear as a term of endearment? That's a foreigner trying to pretend to be an American. And they just don't know that dear is long gone. Nobody uses that. So if you see the word dear, I don't know, it's a pretty good sign. And he agreed. He said, yeah, that is one of the telltales. They use the word dear. I guess they've seen in all of the stuff when they were learning the English language or whatever, dear so-and-so, dear. So they think they extrapolate out and go, you call people dear. Well, we don't call people dear. I don't know. They're deer in the headlights. That's a different story. The other thing is the another misrepresentation, but it's about when they, I guess for most of these sites anyway, they have you say what kind of body type you are. And people say, a few pounds overweight, but athletic. So guys typically say athletic. And what I am told and what I've actually experienced too, is that a lot of these guys, their idea of athletic is they're not morbidly obese and their beer gut isn't really that big. So if when you're going in the restaurant to meet your date for the first time that you've met online and you've told this person that you have an athletic build, this is like my friend Michael's date at the deli, I guess, and you show up and as you're coming down the stairs, your belly precedes you by about 45 seconds, that's not an athletic build. And again, no harm, no foul, but don't go there. If you've got a beer gut, you don't have an athletic build. I mean, not in this world, not in America, maybe somewhere, I don't know, Bavaria, don't know. The other thing is, and this goes back to, again, sort of words, semantics, vocabulary, whatever, bad grammar. So if in a profile, a man or a woman says, I'm very intelligent and I want someone who's intelligent, and then you're using, there's just a few I like to talk about my pet peeves. So my pet peeves, grammar-wise, are things like, well, I should have known, known. Ooh, really? Should have. The words your and your, the contraction your, Y-O-U apostrophe R-E for you are, or your as in the possessive, your book. These are basic grammar things. And if you're putting it up there that not only are you athletic with your beer gut, but that you're really smart and you're using those words improperly, that's kind of a dead giveaway that, I don't know, what is it a dead giveaway of? Maybe it's not dead. Maybe am I too harsh? I don't know. And also the words to, T-O-O and T-O, just simple grammar, I don't know. I grew up in Indiana, and the schools there were real sticklers about grammar and the English language, and we learned how to spell, and I don't know, maybe that's a thing of the past, but we are of the past. That's who we are. We're boomers. So we all should have those good grammar habits and spelling habits. I don't know. Profile writing. Everybody's not a professional writer, and good on you that you're on there trying to put your best foot forward, man or woman. But these poetic, actually, they seem like they came out of the same Rod McEwen poetry book. I love to take a walk on the beach. And, the men all say, I love to take a walk on the beach. I love to cuddle. First of all, I don't want to know that somebody likes to cuddle when I'm just meeting them. I don't know why. That kind of grosses me out. I don't really want to know about your cuddling if I don't know you. But the whole, I want to cuddle, I want to, maybe. And the women with the, I love sports, I like to get out and I actually have a friend who, well, he ended up marrying her, but when he first met his then date, she went on and on about how much she loved to play tennis and loved to ski and blah, 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 blah. And when they went on one of their first date weekends, it was to a ski weekend. And he called my then husband and I, and he was saying, she doesn't ski at all. She's in the lodge the whole time, like drinking, so there's, again, these are misrepresentations. And what it's about is putting a face forward, a foot forward that is inauthentic. So I think what I'm getting at here is people are doing a lot of phony stuff online. And yeah, we know why they are, but wouldn't it be better to just be authentic, and then the person's going to be responding to you for who you are, as opposed to some crazy character or some, wonderful storybook character that you came up with? I don't know. Am I bad? Oh, that's a whole other conversation. So that's a lot of the sort of global stuff, the general stuff, general categories, misrepresenting, creating profiles that are inauthentic, bad grammar. Sorry, it's just my personal thing. And the premature sexualization. I think these are the foibles to avoid if you really want to meet somebody. And then there's this whole other thing that I think maybe the time for online dating has passed. I think we all have a story of someone we know from 5 or 10 years ago who met somebody online and they're married or they're still living together or whatever. I think maybe it's gotten too crazy, shuffle the deck. Like if you go on a date, there's 20 other people waiting. So if it doesn't go really perfectly, or if the conversation on the phone doesn't, there's a whole lineup. So maybe it's gotten so popular that it's kind of outlived its practical, its ability to practically follow through on the promise, which is to find you a mate, a partner, if that's what you're looking for. So, and again, then it comes back to, are you looking for that, or are you just looking for a hookup? And I'm going to tell you a story on our next show. We're going to get into some gnarly stuff. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you the Sun Valley story, which is just a preposterously, outrageously, it's a good story. It has to do with someone really taking advantage of a nice guy on an initial date, off an online dating site. And then we're probably going to have to talk about dick pics. Guys, why? We'll go into that. And women with the sexy, full-blown shots, and then wondering why the guys are getting ideas, and one other category, speaking of the women with the sexy shots, the other global thing that goes on between men and women that I've heard a lot about is the women who, within about a couple of exchanges, hit with the sob story. My car is about to be repossessed and my 5-year-old has to get to school. I mean, the gaming for money thing that goes on is a lot. And you guys that are online know what I'm talking about. Women who are on there to just hit you up for money the minute you respond. It's pretty scary. And they get away with it, or they wouldn't do it. And they get away with it because I know stories where they've gotten away with it. So there's that. But, we'll get into some more nasty stuff. But the main thing is we're heading into the holidays. And some of us will be looking at the fact that we're not in a relationship right now. And maybe the tendency will be to go, oh, I better dig in here and get online. So I just think it's good that we be a little informed and that I kind of bum you out a little bit. If it makes things more realistic, I don't know. Am I bad, Andy?
Hey, it sounds familiar. I mean, I've been out of it for a little while, but yeah, and you got to have a little sense of humor about the whole thing too.
Well, you better, because otherwise you'll, it's like, God, what, it's
That's
weird.
that's right.
On this show, this tell-all that's coming up, we're on again in a couple weeks,
Mhm.
where I get really down to the nitty-gritty and for forensic, and yeah, we can talk about dick pics and all that stuff. But I also have a leading, I'm saying this tongue in cheek, guys, and I hope it'll be fun. I've got Oleg and Mamie coming on. Do you have their photos?
There we go.
Okay, so that's Mamie von Heinewood. And if she looks like me, well, I don't know. I don't know what to say. And there's Oleg Asperger. Now, they're a couple. And they have some really savvy advice because they're very different people. People are always amazed that they're a couple, but they've stayed together. They make it work. And they're going to share a few secrets with us about how to keep the romance alive and how to keep it hot and spicy and how to, all that stuff. So it'll be some very practical advice from kind of a kooky couple.
All right. All right. Do you got a couple of questions? Do you want to do that now?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Janie is asking you, what is the best way to ease yourself out of an uncomfortable first impression at the first meetup?
Well, does that mean, does she want to scoot from the date?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, well, okay. Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah, I wish I would have thought of that. But I didn't need to because Janie did.
yeah.
Plan ahead. Have a friend have one of your friends know what time you're meeting. Pick a reasonable time to have assessed what's going on, 15 minutes in or something. Have them call you and say, oh, excuse me, this is just one call I have to take. If you want out of the date, that call is a real emergency. You have got to go. You're so sorry. If the date's going well, you can just go, oh, let me deal with this when I get home from this date. It's really good. It works really so well. Nobody's feelings really get hurt. You can deal with that stuff later. But it's a really good way to do it. Have a friend on call, literally on call, calling you. And when you answer, you can either get out of the date or continue.
Bill is asking your opinion. Do you have an opinion on the best dating site?
Well, everybody's on that match.com. So I don't. I think what works for some people is to be on a bunch of them. And then you just kind of see as it goes what site has good ones. But there's match.com, there's Zeus, there's Plenty of Fish, there's, there's all kinds of them. But I think, and there's one, Our Time, is that it for boomers? So I think you just pick one or pick two and get on and see how it's going and see, because some people will have, I know so many people that met on match.com, my God. So I don't know, maybe that's a good one, but I also know people that met on other sites. So I think it's personal and individual and you got to feel your way through it.
Fiance on Match.com. Anyway.
You did? Wait, whoa.
Yeah.
That guy, you slid that, you met your fiance?
I did. Uh-huh.
Okay, so and how long ago was that?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
We've been together for 12 years.
Yeah, that's my point. It was brilliant back then. It was good. The people were legit. Okay. Your case in point. Thank you for making my point.
And then Betsy wants to ask you, what gender, in your opinion, is most deceitful with the pictures that they post of themselves?
Well, I'm going to say the women. because the men don't actually, most of the time the men don't even know how to take a good shot. It's like them in their bathroom mirror with a, or they're in their really grungy looking kitchen with like dirty cupboards and stuff. It's like the guys really are a little bit clueless for the most part. And oh yeah, I guess I'm being whatever, I am sexist, but I think it's true. I think women are, because the women really know how to do the makeup and the pose and the what. I'm going to say the women. Don't hate me, sisters, but you know what you're doing. You're posting old shots where you were really in shape and you're going to get back there, but right now you're not, and you're posting a bogus photo.
I think us men are probably a little bit guilty too, but anyway.
No, they are.
Yeah.
Men are guilty, but I'll tell you what it is. Typically the men, it's just an old shot and you can tell. It looks like it's from the 70s. It's like, okay, that's his high school basketball championship picture. Women are a little cagier about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to go with women on that, but they both do it.
Okay. Well, it was a good week to see you. I guess we'll we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. I can't wait. It's going to get a little raunchy, Andy, but online dating can be raunchy. We'll talk about it.
It's crazy. Yeah. Well, thanks, Greta.
Thank you.
See you
Happy Tea Day, everybody.
Absolutely. All for watching, and Greta B, Feisty Friday at 5 with Greta B. We'll be back here same day, same time in 2 weeks. And you can find out more on Facebook, YouTube, and Bloomer Boomer. And if you like it, please like us on Facebook. And we'll see you then.